entire country should focus on creating jobs, wealth, and increasing household incomes. The budget for financial 2024-25 is the fifth and therefore the last to implement the third National Development Plan. It will also set the foundation for implementing the government's strategy for expanding in the size of our GDP from about $50 billion in financial 22-23 to $500 billion by the year 2040. In order to consolidate the gains so far achieved, the theme for the coming financial year has been maintained as full monetization of the Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. Madam Speaker, in this speech, I will, 1, account to Parliament and the people of Uganda for the commitments that the government made for the financial year 2023-2024 that is coming to an end in a few days. 2, provide an outlook for the medium-term economic performance. 3, the medium-term priorities and strategies for growing the economy tenfold, starting with financial year 24-25, and 4, present the financing strategy for the financial year 2024-25 budget. Recent economic performance. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to report that Uganda's economy has fully recovered from various internal and external shocks that impacted performance in the past 4 years. GDP is projected to grow by 6% this financial year 23-24 compared to 5.3% in financial year 22-23. This year's growth of 6% is even more impressive when compared to Sub-Saharan Africa's average of 3.8% and the global average of 2.9% projected for the year 2024. As a result of this robust growth, the size of the economy is now estimated at shillings 202 trillion, equivalent to $53.3 billion, up from shillings 184.3 trillion or $48.8 billion in nominal terms. If Ugandans agreed to share this GDP equally, each citizen would enjoy a GDP per capita of $1,146 compared to $1,081 registered last financial year 22-23. Madam Speaker, the improved performance of the economy is on account of higher growth in all sectors. Services, agriculture, industry are estimated to grow at 6.6%, 5.1%, and 5.8% respectively in financial year 23-24. In particular, growth in the services sector has been impressive, mainly driven by strong recovery in retail and wholesale trade, tourism, as well as communication and real estate activities. Growth in the industry was mainly driven by manufacturing, construction, and mining, while increased production of food and cash crops as well as livestock supported growth in the agricultural sector. Agriculture's performance estimated to have expanded at 5.1% this year compared to 4.5% registered in financial 22-23, is attributed to the streamlined implementation of the parish development model and fairly good weather conditions. Other factors which supported strong economic growth include: 1, low inflation and relatively stable, which have allowed good investment planning and supported export competitiveness. 2, increased investments in the oil and the gas sector related projects supported by the foreign direct investment. 3, higher external demand for Uganda's products, including agricultural and industrial products. 4, recovery of tourism supported by increased investment in tourism infrastructure and marketing. And 5, peace and security for persons and their property. I repeat this: peace and security for persons and their property. Madam Speaker, in March 2024, Uganda met the requirements to graduate from the category of least developed countries. Sorry, let me repeat. Madam Speaker, in March 2024, Uganda met the requirements to graduate from the category of least developed countries. Uganda also moved from the category of low human development to medium human development. This is the result of a consistent improvement in health, education, economy, and a decent standard of living. This is a big milestone achieved well before the country starts earning from oil exports. When oil and gas started to flow in the year 25-26, with the deliberate value addition to our raw materials and productive utilization of PDM and other wealth creation initiatives, attaining of prosperity for all and socio-economic effort will be faster. Madam Speaker, Uganda has contained inflation at an average rate of 3.2% in the 12 months to May 2024. Uganda's inflation is one of the lowest in the region. Annual headline inflation has reduced from the peak of 10.7% in October 2022 to 3.6% last month. The reduction has been a result of good coordination and of monetary and fiscal policies, leading to low inflation for most food crops, manufactured foods, and essential commodities like laundry, bar soap, sugar, and cooking oil. Interest rates. Madam Speaker, the commercial bank lending interest rates for shilling-denominated credit reduced to 17.7% in April 2024, compared to 19.3% in April 2023. Interest rates in the domestic debt market have remained broadly stable, averaging 11.2% on the one-year government treasury bills. To further reduce lending rates, government will continue to provide long-term affordable capital through various interventions. In particular, government will continue to capitalize the Uganda Development Bank, the Parish Development Model, the Agricultural Credit Facility, and the Small Business Recovery Fund to provide capital for wealth creation. Government is also continuing with the capitalization of the Emyoga Fund to support micro enterprises, as well as the presidential skilling and industrial hubs for the youth. Grants will also be extended to women in business through the Generating Growth Opportunity and Productivity for Women Enterprise, which we abbreviate as GROW project. For exporters of manufactured products who face working capital challenges, the investment for industrial transformation and employment, which we call INVITE, that fund worth of $210 million, which is shillings 800 billion, is going to kick off next financial year. Private sector credit. Madam Speaker, private sector credit increased to shillings 21.454 trillion in April 2024 from shillings 20.47 trillion in April 2023, an increase of 5.2%. There has also been a slight increase in the share of credit going to productive areas of the economy. For example, the share of credit going to agriculture increased slightly to 11.3% by April 2024 compared to 11.1% by April 2023, while the share of credit to manufacturing remained the same at 13.4%. Exchange rate. Madam Speaker, despite the depreciation pressure on the shilling since the beginning of this year, the value of our currency has remained largely stable against key global currencies. Between May 2023 and May 2024, the official exchange rate against the US dollar has averaged shillings 3,771. The depreciation pressure on the account of exit of some of the offshore investors searching for more attractive interest rates offered on government papers in competing markets has been contained thanks for our good export performance and foreign direct investment inflows. External trade. Madam Speaker, government's export promotion strategy has continued to produce positive results. During the year ending April 2024, Uganda's exports increased by US dollars 2.534 billion to US dollars 7.71 billion compared to US dollars 4.938 billion in April 2023, representing a 34% growth. This increase was largely driven by increased exports of gold, 75.7%, coffee, 21.9%, oil re-exports, 21.8%, simsim, 20.2%, tobacco, 10.3%, cotton, 6.9%, and light manufactured products, 4.9%. The major destination of our exports are the East African Community countries, which account for 29%. Then we go to COMESA, 29%. Then we go to Middle East, 24%, and to Asia, for 20%. Madam Speaker, efforts to increase the value addition to exports have continued to yield positive results. Exports of manufactured products have continued to be significant contributors of export earnings. In particular, in year 2023, cement exports reached US dollars 91.1 million, sugar US dollars 75.8 million, plastic products US dollars 62.6 million, soap US dollars 33.9 million, beer US dollars 25.8 million. This financial year 23-24, efforts to increase export performance have been strengthened through investing in targeted value addition initiatives and implementing several enabling trade policies. Madam Speaker, in the financial ending, Uganda imported goods worth 12.9 US dollars billion compared to US dollars 10.3 billion in the year ending April 2023. This increase in imports was largely driven by an increase in private sector imports of 20%, mainly to develop our nascent oil and the gas sector. Foreign direct investment, remittances, and tourism. Madam Speaker, the inflow of foreign direct investment to Uganda amounted to US dollars 2.46 billion in financial year 22-23, and by December 23-24, additional FDI amounting to US dollars 1.27 billion had been attracted. Remittances by Ugandans living and working abroad increased to US dollars 1.43 billion in calendar year 2023 from US dollars 1.3 billion in year 2022. Tourism revenues increased to US dollars 1.28 billion in calendar year 2023 from US dollars 1.07 billion in calendar year 2022. Employment. Madam Speaker, job creation ranks top on the government's socio-economic agenda. The number of workers subscribing to the various pension schemes in the country increased more than 3.4 million members in the financial year 23-24, an increase of 4.2% compared to 3.0%, sorry, 0.3 compared to 0.301 million members in financial year 22-23. Madam Speaker, the latest reports indicate that the direct beneficiaries of the Presidential Initiative on Jobs and Wealth Creation, EMIOGA, has reached 2,237,402 in December 2023. In the past 1 year alone, EMIOGA funds have created 378,640 new direct jobs. This was about 40,000 additional new jobs created compared to the new jobs created in the previous year. On the other front, so far, 1.165 million households have received PDM funds worth 1.126 trillion as of May 2024, and estimated to create about 2.5 million jobs. A total of 23,083 youth projects have benefited 263,897 youth under the youth livelihood program in areas of agriculture, trade, services, and industry. This has created over 1,250,000 indirect jobs. Similarly, the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities is supporting 6,282 enterprises, benefiting 49,372 persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, government is also going to create more formal jobs and related livelihoods through a number of project-funded interventions. Notable among these are the GROW and INVITE projects. The GROW program is expected to directly benefit over 80,000 female-owned enterprises, 280,000 female entrepreneurs, and 1.6 million indirect beneficiaries. Another 200,000 new jobs are expected to be created from new investments through the INVITE project. Fiscal performance, Madam Speaker, as a result of a fiscal consolidation agenda, which is intended to enhance revenue collection, limit borrowing for only critical and strategic investments, and control government expenditure. government's fiscal deficit has reduced to 4.5% of GDP this financial year from 5.5% of GDP last year. Madam Speaker, the projected domestic revenue outturn for financial 22-24 is shillings 27.725 trillion against the target of shillings 29.672 trillion, leading to a revenue shortfall of over 1.9 trillion. The Uganda Revenue Authority is working hard in the remaining days to reduce this shortfall. The revenue to GDP ratio is estimated at 13.6% of GDP in financial 23-24. Domestic revenue for financial 24-25 is projected to amount to shilling 31.982 trillion, equivalent to 14.2% of our GDP. Economic growth strategy and outlook. Madam Speaker, Uganda's economic outlook is positive and optimistic. I will repeat this. Madam Speaker, Uganda's economic outlook is positive and optimistic. The economy has remained resilient and has fully recovered from a myriad of internal and external shocks. Next financial year, the economy is projected to get back to Uganda's steady state growth potential of between 6.4% and 7% and double digit over the next 5 years. We are there. It is projected that next financial year, 2024-25, Uganda's GDP will further expand to shillings 225.5 trillion, which is equivalent to $60 billion. These numbers exclude the anticipated oil and gas revenues as well as the planned interventions to grow the economy tenfold. We shall update the projections in the medium term. Madam Speaker, this growth will be driven by 1. Increased oil and gas activities as we move towards the first oil production in financial year 2025-26. 2. Growth in exports supported by increase in regional trade in the East Africa, COMESA, intra-Africa trade, and harnessing existing and new trading partners in the Middle East and Asia. 3. Increase in tourism activities supported by investment in tourism infrastructure, branding and marketing, and effective implementation of the meetings, incentives, conferences, and events program. It is that program. Agro-industrialization and light manufacturing supported by access to affordable credit through Uganda Development Bank, investments supported through Uganda Development Corporation, UDC, the Parish Development Model, Small Business Recovery Fund, EMIOGA, the Presidential Industrial Hubs for Youth Entrepreneurs, and programs to support exporters, as well as growth and productivity of women enterprises. Private investment growth supported by foreign direct investment, remittances, and stable macroeconomic investment. Continued investment in industrial parks, construction and maintenance of roads and bridges. And finally, rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway and the commencement of the standard gauge railway, expansion of ICT infrastructure, and provision of reliable and affordable electricity. Madam Speaker, Uganda's growth strategy for the next financial year and in the medium term is anchored on 4 key growth drivers. 1. Agro-industrialization. 2. Tourism development. 3. Mineral development including oil and gas. 4. Science, technology, and innovation. These are the anchor sectors that are going to propel Uganda to a $500 billion economy in the next 1.5 decades. Madam Speaker, our growth prospects face some risks that we need to be mitigated. Let me repeat. Our growth prospects face some risks that we need to be mitigated. These include: 1, climate change affecting agricultural production and infrastructure. We have just been seeing this a couple of months back. 2, regional and global geopolitical tensions. That one I will not comment. You all know. 3, high interest rates which constrain access to affordable debt. And 4, fluctuations in global commodity prices. To minimize the effects of these risks, government is implementing climate change adaptation measures, exploring cheaper sources of financing, including climate finance, and ensuring frugality in government expenditure. I repeat this, and ensuring frugality in government expenditure. Now I want to account for financial 23-24 and the priorities for financial that we are talking about. Madam Speaker, in the national budget for the financial we are ending 23-24 that I presented here on June 15th last year, government made a number of commitments intended to deliver on NDP 3 priorities, as well as promises we made to the people of Uganda under the NRM manifesto for 21-26. In this section, I provide accountability for what government has achieved so far and what it intends to do to ensure that commitments to the citizens are to a large extent fulfilled. Madam Speaker, I will start with what we have achieved by investing in the people of Uganda through prioritization of health care, education, water, sanitation, and hygiene. Madam Speaker, during financial 23-24, the following milestones have been achieved in the health sector. 1, government commenced the construction of the East African Center of Excellence for cardiovascular care. Thank you. At the Uganda Heart Institute, located in Naguru, and fast-tracking the completion of the East African Center of Excellence for Oncology in Kampala and associated regional centers in Gulu, Mbarara, Arua, and Mbale. They don't encourage me. Under the Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer Program, 371 health center tools were planned for construction and upgrade to Health Center 3 status. So far, 261 health center tools have been upgraded to Health Center 3s and are fully operational. I hope the Minister of Health can testify on this. An additional 110 are ongoing at different stages. Meanwhile, 10 hospitals were rehabilitated in Usolwe, Kapchorwa, Kambuga, Wenge, Koboko, Amuria, Kotido, Kaberamaido, Kaworo, and Kitgum districts. 3 regional blood banks in Arua, Soroti, and Hoima have been completed. 4 Government distributed a total of 25 million long-lasting insecticide-treated mosquito-based nets countrywide for the prevention of malaria. 5. Government also provided 116 new ambulances to 100 constituencies, another 10 ambulances for the regional referral hospitals, and 6 for the command center at Naguru, among others. Madam Speaker, to further enhance the health of Ugandans, a total of shillings 2.946 trillion has been provided next financial year, 24-25. The following interventions will be prioritized: promotion and implementation of interventions for the Disease Prevention and Health Education Initiative against communicable and non-communicable diseases and injuries. 2. Provision of essential medicines, where an additional shillings 100 billion has been provided. 3. Improvement of the welfare of the health workers, including medical interns and doctors designated as senior house officers. I have provided more wage allocations to facilitate the recruitment of staff for the upgraded health center 3s. 4. Construction and rehabilitation of more health infrastructure and provision of medical equipment to improve quality of care and provision of specialized health care. These include, among others, the Uganda Cancer Institute and regional cancer centers, the Uganda Health Institute, intensive care units, and an imaging center for referral hospitals. Designation of the national health system to facilitate service delivery and tracking of medical supplies and health workers' performance. 6. Construction, rehabilitation, and equipping of dilapidated hospitals across the country, including the Kampala metropolitan area. 7. Strengthening of the network of medical reference laboratories, including the establishment of the East African Community Regional Center of Excellence for Virology at Uganda Virus Research Institute and the National Public Health Institute in Uganda. 8. Establishment of a pharmaceutical industrial park and strengthening the National Drug Authority regulatory framework. Now I turn to education. Madam Speaker, government considers education as a key opportunity equalizer for all Ugandans, equipping them with knowledge and skills required for productive employment, as well as enabling them to live longer, happier, affluent lives. For this reason, the following commitments were prioritized and delivered in financial year 23-24. 1. Skilling in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. 2. Construction and equipping of 21 laboratories across the country in selected secondary schools using UPDF engineering brigade. 3. Upgrading learning facilities in 12 technical institutes and 4 vocational education centers of excellence at Uganda Technical College in Bushenyi, Bukalasa, Lira, and Ergon. 4. Out of 259 seed secondary schools planned under WIGFID, 105 have been completed and 144 are ongoing. Madam Speaker, I have provided 2.497 trillion to further improve the quality of education, and the following are among the priorities. 1. Supporting the new curriculum for S1 to 4 students. 2. Operationalization of all the 110 seed secondary schools and completing the 27 seed secondary schools under the UGIFT program. 3. Commencing the construction of 60 secondary schools and expansion of 61 existing secondary schools under the Uganda Secondary Education Expansion Project. 4. Providing loans to 5,192 degree and 1,125 diploma students who are on the government-funded loan scheme, both continuing students and beneficiaries. 5. Government takeover of the proposed Bunyoro and Busoga universities for inclusive and equitable access to university education. Bunyoro, you can talk. You can clap, because it has been a thorn in my flesh. Social protection. Madam Speaker, in the year we are concluding, government has provided social protection as follows. 1. Continued with the provision of the senior citizen grant to 439,069 older persons across the country, amounting to a cumulative total of money, shilling 565.7 billion. 2. Under a special enterprise grant for older person program, SEGOP, the government supported 590 group enterprises benefiting 3,636 older persons. 3. Under the youth livelihood program, a total of 23,083 youth projects have benefited 263,897 youth in areas of agriculture, trade, services, and industry. This has created over 1,250,000 direct jobs. And 4, through the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities, government is supporting 6,202 enterprises benefiting 49,372 persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, government will continue to support the welfare of elderly to keep them healthy and productive in their communities, while social assistance grant for empowerment, what we call SAGE, targets those above 80 years. Above 80 years, SEGOP. Ensure let me repeat. While social assistance grant for empowerment, what we call SAGE, targets those above 80 years, SEGOP ensure the inclusion of those in the age bracket of 61 to 71 years. That is for us now. Government will also continue to support the youth and the women beneficiary groups using recovery funds from the Youth Livelihood Program and the Uganda Women's Enterprise Program. For greater efficiency, management of the two programs has been unified. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 355.79 billion for social protection next financial year. Water, sanitation, and environment protection. Madam Speaker, as a result of government intervention, more Ugandans now have access to safe, clean water. Coverage in rural areas is now estimated at 67% and 70% in urban areas. Out of the 71,225 villages, 6,617 villages have been served with at least one safe water source. In financial 24-25, clean water coverage will increase to 70% and 85% in rural and urban areas respectively. In the rural areas, the target is to reduce the distance to the nearest source of clean and safe water for human and animal consumption to less than 1 kilometer, while in urban areas to less than 500 meters. The following are among the priorities we have budgeted for for the next financial year. 1. Construction of 52 large solar-powered water supply systems in 19 districts that are currently at less than 50% water coverage. These are, let me mention them: Agago, Yumbe, Amudat, Kabong, Bulambuli, Buvuma, Buyende, Namuyingo, Rakai, Nakaseke, Sembabuli, Kibali, Hasese, Kiegegwa, Mubende, Yantonde, Kakumiru, Sanda, and Kisoro. Construction of another 15 solar-powered water supply systems in the rural growth centers of Buentulege, Bugwara, Kabamba, Chikora, Tuitanzige, Lugara. I don't know whether Muitanzige, but I've written Tuitanzige. I think it should be Muitanzige. Lugara, Kitenga, Bukizibu, Bumwena, Igwaya, Kidera, Bugomorwa, Kitonge Nakasero, Kikonge, Kasese, Lubali. This will cover a population of over 272,000 persons. Completion of the construction of 31 town water supply systems and sanitation facilities in Bulangira, Kanapa, Aligoi, Opengate, Kawo, Karogo, Shaka, Buikwe, Bundibujo, Kapchorwa, Kamuli, Namasale, Kaliro, Namungarwe, Butaleja Busorwe, Budaka Kadama Tirinyi, Kibuku, Kyankwanzi, Butemba, Ngoma, Dunya, Palabekekar, Lamo, Obong, Lamo, Rhino Camp, Ara Dufle, Amuru, Kole, Arangi, Zeu, Kachingo, Irir, and Lorengachora. Construction of 17 rural water supply systems in the refugee hosting districts of Adjumani, Lamo, Madi, Okoro, Moyo, Terego, and Yumbe. The construction of 26 water supply systems at various stages in Manafa, now at 80%, Mukura 40%, Kidera 40%, Atuturu 40%, Kadunguru 10%, Kaproron 10%, Oyorwa 20%, Bukumi 5%, Rubaya 50%, Bethlehem, Nabigasa, Phase 1, 50%, Kabura, Muizi, Phase 1, 50%, Mabira, 50%, Bukiro, 50%, Nyakirira, also 50%, Bugarama, Karweru, 50%, Were, Katere Tere, 50%, Kagarama, Bushura, Kibuzije, also 50%, Nyanseke, 80%, Busare, 95%, Kibuzi, 100%, Adlang, Puranga, Pader, Kasao, Phase 1, 5%, Kiebando, Kasimbi, 5%, Nabilatuk, and Roseland. Increasing the water for production storage capacity for commercial farmers from 52.6 million cubic meters to 76.8 million cubic meters. Madam Speaker, to support the restoration of our environment and reverse the effects of climate change, government shall undertake the restoration of 42,450 hectares of degraded wetlands along the Awoja, Kandyeki, Ruhorobero, Nchwera, Chambura, Kiruruma, Naigombwa, Kibimba, Tochi, Aswa, Sezibwa, Mayanja, Muzizi, Mpanga, and Lumbuye water systems. In addition, government shall demarcate a 720-kilometer boundary with the concrete pillars along the following wetlands: Kibimba, Tochi, Sezibwa, Mayanja, Muzizi, Awoja, Mpologoma, Ishasha, Kandeke, Ruhorobero, Nchwera, Chambura, Kiruruma, and Naigombwa. A total of 15 million seedlings of assorted tree species shall be procured and distributed to individual farmers in several districts, as well as to refugee hosting communities in the Albertine region and in West Nile, as well as individual farmers. Madam Speaker, I have provided shillings 516.78 billion next financial year for climate change mitigation, natural resources, environment, and water resource management. Increasing effectiveness of wealth creation initiative, the parish development model. Madam Speaker, the PDM has now been fully rolled out. A total of shillings 2.4 trillion has so far been provided. The money is being transferred directly to beneficiaries in 10,585 parishes across the country. The introduction of the Wendy application by the government-owned Post Bank and its partners has saved beneficiaries the inconvenience of traveling long distances to open up bank accounts or withdraw their money. It has also enhanced transparency by providing full visibility and traceability for all funds up to the last mile beneficiary. The extensive mobile telephone coverage, both smartphone and KBDT, has helped to lower transaction costs for the PDM beneficiaries. Going forward, government will deepen the use of Wendy and other digital technologies and innovations to enhance financial inclusion and drive efficiency, accessibility, and effectiveness of the program. These technologies will gradually be extended to other wealth creation initiatives. The total of 1.165 million households that have so far received PDM funds have invested in intensive agriculture projects that include poultry, dairy, coffee, piggery, fish, fruits, and food crops. In the next few days, I will release the remaining 529 billion for this financial year directly into the accounts of PDM circles, into the PDM circles. Each PDM circle will continue to receive 100 million. Madam Speaker, 1.599 trillion has been provided next financial year for the additional 100 million per parish to benefit more households. Government will also ensure effective implementation of Pillar 1, which includes input certification, provision of extension services, storage, value addition, and market linkages. Now in Myoga. Madam Speaker, to date, government has provided a total of 480 billion through Myoga. Out of this, a total of shillings 268 billion has been disbursed to 6,810 Myoga circles. The beneficiaries have been able to save 85 billion to further grow their circle funds. As a result, 607,000 636 individuals across the country have benefited from Emyoga funds, and shillings 80.28 billion has been recovered from the first round beneficiaries and is being advanced to others. We should clap for my colleague Kasoro. May I repeat this? Let me repeat it. I can see you didn't get it well. Emyoga. Madam Speaker, to date, government has provided a total of shillings 480 billion through Emyoga. Out of this, a total of shillings 268 billion has been disbursed to 600,810 Emyoga circles. The beneficiaries have been able to save 85 billion to further grow their circle funds. As a result, 636 individuals across the country have benefited from the Emyoga funds, and shillings 80.28 billion has been recovered from the first round beneficiaries and is being advanced to others. In the next financial year 24-25, I have provided an additional 100 billion under Emyoga to support more Ugandans to create wealth and boost their incomes. Agricultural Credit Facility. Madam Speaker, since 2009, government has partnered with banks to support commercialization of agriculture through a credit guarantee scheme that provides up to 50% of the money loaned to a farmer. Cumulatively, government has invested 303 billion Uganda shillings, causing a cumulative loan disbursement of 860 billion. This money has enabled a total of 3,868 agricultural projects to access patient capital for commercial on-farm investment, post-harvest management, agro-processing, and trade in agricultural produce. Next financial year, government will continue to capitalize the SF with an additional of 30 billion Uganda shillings. Capitalization of UDB. Madam Speaker, Uganda Development Bank has grown into a formidable shillings 1.3 trillion bank in assets, providing patient and relatively affordable capital to those adding value to agricultural materials, manufacturers, as well as investors in tourism and hospitality, infrastructure, and education. It has created a total of 51,841 jobs. During financial 24-25, the bank will continue to provide capital to businesses involved in value addition, including promotion of innovation in the areas of science and technology. It will also support youth-led enterprises, manufacturers, and also provide working capital to exporters and those involved in import substitution. Green financing is also going to be enhanced to ensure climate adaptation and mitigation. To achieve this, government is going to further capitalize UDB with another 55 billion Uganda shillings. Government is also in the process of acquiring for UDB 1.03 shillings 0.083 trillion to lend more to wealth creators. Support to SMEs. Madam Speaker, 2 years ago, government set up Small Business Recovery Fund to provide soft loans to SMEs that had suffered financial distress during COVID-19. Government provided 100 billion shillings to be equally matched by banks to extend credit to the target beneficiaries at 10% interest rate. At a disbursement of 18.4 billion so far, supporting for 1,400,000 of this fund has been low. Next financial government and the Bank of Uganda are going to relax the requirements to ensure increased uptake of the SBF, to uptake the SBRF to support small and medium enterprise growth. Invite and Growth Program. Madam Speaker, government is also implementing 2 programs, namely the Generating Growth Opportunity and Productivity for Women Enterprise, GROW, worth US dollars 217 million or shillings 824 billion, and the Investment for Industrial Transformation and Employment Invite, worth US dollars 210 million, which is equivalent to 800 shillings billion. These funds are intended to support women-owned enterprises and value addition for export. Madam Speaker, government is also working hard to reduce the time, cost, complexity of business registration and licensing. A business facilitation center has been set up to centralize all business investor-related services to speed up registration and operationalization of businesses. Services that used to require weeks or months are now accomplished in just a couple of hours. This is going to enhance Uganda's competitiveness even further. Agro-industrialization. Madam Speaker, government is committed to commercializing agriculture to enhance production and productivity and improve competitiveness of agricultural products in both regional and international markets. The following are some of the key milestones achieved during this financial year in the area of agro-industrialization. 1. Establishment of an infra-safe facility at Namulongo to help in the management of aflatoxins in cereals and nuts. 2. Construction of the local anti-tick vaccine manufacturing facility also at Namulonge to produce vaccines against tick-borne diseases. This will save the country US dollars 1.1 billion, which is lost annually due to tick-borne diseases, and tap into the shillings 3 trillion regional market for meat and milk. Increase the coverage of large-scale farmer mechanization to 40% from 32% in financial 22-23. A total of 1,240 tractors with all their accessories and additional 750 units of single-axle trucks were procured and distributed countrywide. Government also provided a number of policy tax-related support to private sectors so that we forget about that. Somebody messed me up. Madam Speaker, in the financial 2024-25 budget, I have allocated a total of shillings 1.878 trillion towards deepening agro-industrialization with increased focus on commercialization and value addition in agriculture. The priority areas include: 1. More investment in research and genetic development of selected value chains for animal, fish, and crop varieties. 2. Support for pest, vector, and disease control and prevention. In particular, I have provided an additional 427.21 billion to procure and distribute 44 million doses of vaccines against foot and mouth disease. After the current vaccination exercise, farmers will access the vaccines through government by meeting 100% cost of the vaccine, while the government will cover the cost of vaccine administration. Support to NARO to roll out the anti-tick vaccine, starting with 20 million doses. 4. De-risking agriculture through supporting increased production and productivity, as well as value addition for all priority value chains. 5. More support for agricultural mechanization. 6. Increased investment in small and large irrigation systems, particularly solar powered irrigation. 7. Support for seed multiplication through the Uganda prisons to increase seed availability for PDM beneficiaries. And 8, additional credit support to large-scale commercial farmers to ensure food security and increase exports. Now we turn to tourism development. Madam Speaker, Uganda has increasingly regained her global position among the top 10 best tourism destinations in the global tourism ranking. In the year 2023, international tourist arrivals increased by 56% to 1.2274 million tourists, compared to 885 arrivals in the year 2022, and the peak of 1.52 million in year 2019. The international tourism receipts reached $1.03 billion in calendar year 2023. Madam Speaker, tourism has a high return on investment. Madam Speaker, tourism has a high return on investment. Financial year 24-25, I have provided shillings 289.6 billion to the Tourism Development Program to undertake the following. 1, support international and domestic tourism marketing and promotion activities. 2, modernize our tourism products to make them more competitive. These include completion of the pier and related infrastructure at the source of the Nile, upgrading the Uganda Museum, construction of 800 to 8,000 meters of climbing ladders and boardwalks on the Rwenzori Mountains to make hiking safer. 3, continue with grading, supervision, and classification of tourism facilities to enhance the quality of services and ensure adherence to required global standards. 4, complete the upgrade of Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training Institute infrastructure in an effort to make it an international center of excellence for training and skills development in tourism and hospitality. And 5, enhance the conservation of Uganda's 22 wildlife protected areas with a focus on mitigation of human-wildlife conflicts. Government is going to construct an additional 150 kilometers of electric fence and maintain the existing 106-kilometer fence, carry out boundary surveillance through more than 13,904 patrols, uproot invasive species, and construct 4 water dams in the protected areas. Madam Speaker, apart from the shillings 287.6 billion that I have directly provided to the tourism sector, an additional shillings 1.629 trillion has been provided for several critical interventions associated with tourism, including support to Uganda Life Authority, construction of tourism roads, road rehabilitation, and upgrade under Kampala Capital Cities Authority, support to AFCON 27, and the completion of key stadia, strengthening security, law and order in our tourism destinations, and extension of internet to tourism destinations, among others. In particular, I have provided an additional 55 billion Uganda shillings to Uganda's mission abroad to support Uganda Tourism Board to market Uganda to potential tourists, market our exports, and attract more investors. Science, technology, and innovation. Madam Speaker, government has earmarked science, technology, and innovation as a key catalyst for the qualitative leap to achieve tenfold growth of our economy. This financial year, building on investments made in recent years, the following are the key achievements contained. Kira Motors Corporation, to construct and equip a magnificent 2,500 vehicles per year manufacturing plant in Jinja Industrial Park. This facility has capabilities for bus and truck body manufacture, vehicle painting, powertrain manufacture, electronic key systems, and trim integration and production quality inspection and testing. The complex has so far manufactured 39 buses, of which 27 are electric and 12 are low emission diesel. The company has orders of more than 100 buses from Tanzania, South Africa, Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, and Nigeria. This demonstrates the huge market potential for the vehicles. Kira Motors Corporation currently directly employs 168 people in engineering, production, marketing, and sales, and finance and administration. This number will increase to 600 once the plant in Jinja is fully operational. Madam Speaker, next financial year, government is going to support Kira Motors with shilling 32.5 billion to complete the plant and access working capital. Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development, PIBID. Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development, PIBID. PIBID to establish semi-automated government has supported PIBID to establish semi-automated capacity of 14 metric tons of fresh matoke. With the daily processing capacity of 14 metric tons of fresh matoke, import substitution. These projects have shown potential for import substitution by replacing wheat and also by providing gluten-free starch products. The company has started have high global demand, including from South Korea. The company has started fulfilling international Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Italy. PIBID currently employs 150 staff and collaborating with 6,543 farmers. Next financial year, government has provided an additional 50 billion to complete the capitalization of the company to transition into a self-sustaining business. The pathogen economy. Madam Speaker, the pathogen economy has made tremendous progress in developing vaccines, therapeutics, diagnostics, and other health care tools for our public health security and import substitution. The scientists at Makerere University developed a PCR diagnostic kit that has so far been used to conduct more than 2 million COVID-19 tests. This kit effectively halved the cost of COVID-19 testing and saved Uganda more than US$ 37 billion, that is shillings 140 billion Uganda shillings. A clinical trials platform for natural therapeutics, the first on the African continent. Let me repeat this. You know, when I hear something so good about Uganda, I want everybody to listen. A clinical trial platform for natural therapeutics, the first on the African continent, has been established. The human vaccines have completed animal studies and are under preparation for clinical trials. Madam Speaker, other government support under the pathogen economy has been directed towards the following special initiatives. 1. Day by Pharma Limited is establishing Africa's largest pharmaceutical and vaccine manufacturing facility here in Uganda. You can take the road to Bombo, you will see. The facility will create job opportunities for more than 10,000 science professionals and 30,000 others in support of the ecosystem. Production of generic drugs, cancer drugs, and human vaccines is scheduled to start by November this year. Government in the process of finalizing equity acquisition in exchange for its shilling 723 billion investment. The anti-tick vaccine project at Makerere University, spearheaded by Dr. Margaret Saimo Kahua, has undergone clinical trials. I have provided an additional 25 billion to produce and commercialize the anti-tick vaccine. Government has also supported Gen Hubs of Professor Patrick Ogwang, known for COVIDEX, to undertake clinical trials of his natural therapeutics and establish an internationally certified production facility to manufacture and commercialize them. I have provided an additional shillings 2.07 billion for this purpose next financial year. We congratulate him. Support Professor Serwanga Sampala to advance research in human vaccines. I have provided an additional shillings 225.4 billion needed to complete the research and start producing the vaccine. Coffee value chain development. Madam Speaker, government has partnered with private sector to fast-track local value addition to coffee. We have started with 3 Apex centers for high-value coffee processing under the Coffee Investment Consortium, Great Lakes Coffee, and Inspire African Coffee. All have acquired modern roastery, freeze-dry and spray-dry technologies to produce instant, roast and ground coffee products, coffee capsules, cold brew, and instant coffee with a total capacity of 585,000 metric tons per year. One of the facilities is complete while the other is 62% complete. Government will support the completion and expansion of these facilities, the operationalization and market penetration of the products on the local, regional, and international market. The target is to aggregate, add value, and market at least 1 million bags of medium to high quality coffee, green coffee beans by 2025. This will earn Uganda shillings 560 billion, Uganda shilling, no, sorry. This will earn Uganda shillings 560 million US dollars from value added coffee in the next 5 years, which would catalyze the whole sector to bring in at least US dollars 5 billion in line with our 10-fold growth strategy. Shilling 75 billion has been provided next financial year to improve coffee value chain development. Space program. Madam Speaker, government has supported the rapid human capital development of the aerospace program by training our engineers in Japan, China, and Egypt. Government partially furnished the headquarters of the space program, the Impoma Satellite Earth Station, to enhance weather prediction and monitoring landslides and the environment. Government will support completion of these initiatives, including the establishment of a satellite development laboratory and a modern geospatial center to be able to obtain data from a broad spectrum of satellites from partner nations. I have provided 3.3 billion for space program activities next financial year. I want to commend His Excellency for spearheading the development of the knowledge economy through targeted funding of research and development and scientists in general. You are very mean. The president does do this kind of thing and you don't clap for him. Madam, mineral development now. I'm moving to mineral. Mineral development is another growth accelerator that has been earmarked to expand Uganda's economy by 10-fold. It is going to support mineral development is another growth accelerator that has been earmarked by government to expand Uganda's economy by tenfold. It is going to support resource-based industrialization into manufacturing and high-tech exports. During the financial year we are ending, the following have been achieved in the minerals sector. 1. The entire country has now been fully mapped using airborne and ground geophysical technologies. 2. The National Mining Company has been incorporated as a commercial vehicle for investment and trading in minerals on behalf of the government of Uganda. 3. Several key mineral development projects and mineral value addition centers have been developed, including Wagagai for gold mining in Busia, rare earth metals in Bugweri, a graphite project in Kitgum, limestone mining project by Sunbird Resource Limited in Moroto, and 7 gold refineries in Kampala, among others. Mrs. Woodcross Tin Smelting Company has established a tin smelter in western Uganda to produce tin ingots to 99.95% tin grade. Madam Speaker, next financial year, I have allocated 41.55 billion to undertake the following interventions for further mineral developments. Fast-tracking quantification and market studies for all minerals for the purpose of investor promotion. 2. Operationalizing the National Mining Company. 3. Further reviewing and strengthening the fiscal regime for minerals, including regulations of artisan and small-scale miners. 4. Developing the e-government mineral production system and data bank for mineral statistics. 5. Commencing construction of Busia and Moroto beneficiation centers and strengthening the Ntungamo and Fort Portal centers. 6. Facilitating private sector participation in exploration, mining, value addition to minerals, oil and gas now. Madam Speaker, Uganda is progressing steadily toward the first oil in financial 25-26. During the financial year we are ending, the following have been achieved. 1. The upstream petroleum project has advanced with drilling works in preparation for production. 2. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP, project is on track with 500 kilometers of pipeline delivered in Tanzania. The target is to lay 100 kilometers per month. 3. The thermal insulation plant for heating the EACOP in Tabora, Tanzania was commissioned in March this year. 4. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has issued 2 new exploration licenses to Uganda National Oil Company and DGR, an Australian-based company. 5. The planned 60,000 barrels per day refinery in Kabale, Chikube district, is progressing very well. The land for the project sites and associated terminal has already been acquired by government. Enforcement of the national content policy has ensured that up to 93% jobs in the oil and the gas sector go to Ugandans. A total of 13,607 jobs so far have been given. 7. In addition, the companies investing in the oil and the gas sector are contracting locally. Since 2021, contracts worth $1.796 billion have been awarded to Ugandan companies out of the total contract investment of $7.162 billion. Madam Speaker, in a bid to ensure security of supply of petroleum products, UNOC, in partnership with the private sector, will commence the importation of all our petroleum products beginning in the first week of July this year, which is very near. Madam Speaker, next financial year I have provided shillings 920.68 billion for the oil and the gas sector to prioritize the following. 1. Development of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline hub in Tanga. 2. Continued construction of the EACOP, including the necessary infrastructure to facilitate adherence to high-quality environmental standards. 3. Procurement and dissemination of the 57,000 liquefied petroleum gas cylinders to promote clean cooking. And 4. Establishment of Petroleum Geoscience Laboratory. And finally, 5. Equity contribution for the final project. Integrated transport infrastructure and services. Madam Speaker, a total of 205 kilometers was added to the paved network during financial 23-24, increasing the total paved national road network to 6,338 kilometers, representing over 30% of the national road network. The following roads were completed during the financial year: Atiaka-Loropi, 66 kilometers, Masindi-Biso, Howa, Nyairongo, Kyarushesha, Butole, and Kawali, Kiziramfumbi Road, 97 kilometers, Moroto, Lokitanyalia, Nyala, 42 kilometers, Rukungiri, Kihi, Shasha, Kanungu, 78.5 kilometers, Kapchorwa Swam, 73 kilograms, and Masindi Park Junction and Tanjin Junction, Parabulisa Road, 159 kilometers. In addition, 3 bridges were completed and the construction of 36 critical strategic bridges is ongoing. The completed bridges are Kampala Flyover and road upgrading, 2 Lugogo Bridge connecting in Nakasongola district and Ngoma in Nakaseke via Kasozi, 3 Saka Swamp crossing in Palisa. With regard to air transport, the following were accomplished during the year we are talking about. 1. 90% completion of Kabalega International Airport in Hoima. The remaining 10% comprises of critical air navigation, meteorological, communication, and airport operation facilities. 2. 90% completion of the expansion and rehabilitation of Entebbe International Airport, including modernization of the departures and arrival areas of the terminal building. 3. Maintenance of 3 aerodromes, including Arua, Gulu, Pakuba, Masindi, Lira, Kidepo, Moroto, Soroti, Tororo, Jinja, Mbarara, Kasese, and Kisoro. Madam Speaker, with regard to water transport, the following were accomplished during the financial year we are talking about, we are winding up. 1. Completed the construction of 3 strategic ferries, namely Amuru Rhino Camp Ferry and 2 ferries for Bukungu, Kagwara, Kabera Maido route on Lake Kyoga. 2. Completed the construction of the Maritime Training Institute in Namasagali and commenced construction works for the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center at Mwanza. 3. Completed 46% construction works for search and rescue centers at Kazi and 25% at Kaiso, Panimu, Zengebe landing sites. 4. Continued with the development of new Kampala port at Bukasa. With regard to railway transport, the following were accomplished during this financial year. 1. Acquired a 161 kilometer corridor for the standard gauge railway between Tororo and Mayuge. 2. 28% completion of rehabilitation of Tororo Gulu meter gauge railway. 3. Completed emergency refurbishment and rehabilitation of the Malaba Kampala Namanve meter gauge railway. Madam Speaker, during financial 24-25, more focus will be put on maintenance of roads we have built, building a few new strategic roads, accelerated rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway, and the commencement of construction of the standard gauge railway. I have provided a total of shillings 4.989 trillion for that purpose. In particular, the following transport infrastructure will be undertaken. Roads. Tarmacking of an additional 360 kilometers of roads and ongoing projects. 2. Completion of upgrading of 210 kilometers of the following roads. Muyembe na Kapiriprit, 92 kilometers, and 25 kilometers of service roads. Kira Matuga Road, an improvement of 5 injunctions, 21 kilometers. Tororo Busia Road, 26 kilometers. And Mayuge and Busia Town Roads, 18 kilometers. Kauku Werenga Road, 6.6 kilometers. And Namugonde Bugiri Road, 1.6 kilometers. Selected town roads, 5.6 kilometers in Palisa and Kumi. Selected town roads, 7.5 kilometers in Palisa and Kumi, 12.2. And remedial works on Untungamu, Kabale, Katuna Road, 65 kilometers. Commencing the upgrading and construction of 643 kilometers of following roads projects. Kisoro, let me repeat. Commencing the upgrading / construction of 643 kilometers of the following road projects. Kisoro, Lake Bunyonyi Road. Kisoro, Mugahinga National Park Headquarters. Koboko, Yumbe Moyo, Yumbe Ure Road, Kitugumu Depot, Namagumba Udadiri Narugugu Road, Katine Ocheru Road, and 2.1 kilometers of town roads in Kabera Maido and Karaki towns. Kienjojo, Kihura Wizi, Wamwanja, Kahumpe, and Empara Wiz, Iganga, Uropa, Kamuli, and Jinja, Mburamuti, Kamuli, Bukungu, and Jinja City Roads, Kisubi, Nakauka, Natete, Nakauka, Kasanje, Mpigi, Nakauka, Mauguru, Nanziga, Maya, Kasanje, Bwawaya. Upgrading to bitumen standards tarmac 16.9 kilometers of roads in the Greater Kampala metropolitan area and the Gomba district. Completing the construction of 22 kilometers of Kayunga Nabuganyi Road. 6. Completing the construction of Kakiri Masulita Mawale Road. 7. Rehabilitation of over 10,000 kilometers of national and community access roads in various parts of the country. This will be in addition to routine maintenance under the Uganda Road Fund. 8. Commencing the construction works for Masaka, Kyotera, Mutukura Road, and rehabilitation of Nyendo, Vira Maria Road, and access roads. 9. Continuing with the ongoing construction of up 30 bridges and structures on the national roads, including Ala, Anzu, Gazi, Rhino Camp, Acha, Rhino Camp, Lugogo Swamp Crossing, Nabuhakia, Nambora, Namsimeri, Sahana, Kamesaru bridges, Rubonji Bridge, Maziba, Kiruruma, Wembio, Kajweng bridges, Kamirwa, Nyakambu, Kochi, Osu, Odrua, Dunga, Mahoma, Mpanga, Nabuswa, and Perepa bridges, among others. Development of water ferries. Madam Speaker, the construction of 2 Lake Bunyonyi ferries is currently underway and will be completed next financial year. Now, air transport. Madam Speaker, shillings shillings 162 billion has been provided for completion and operationalization of Kabalega International Airport in Hoima, and plans are underway to acquire at least 2 mid-range aircraft and 2 cargo aircraft to facilitate exports in the medium term. Information and Communication Technology, ICT. Madam Speaker, during the financial year we are concluding, the following have been achieved in the ICT sector. 1. A total of 4,354 kilometers of optic fiber cable have been laid across the country, connecting 1,523 key government service delivery units to the national backbone infrastructure. 2. The internet penetration in the country has increased 64% from 25% in 2017, and the share of government services provided online is now at 40%, up from 20% registered in 2017. 3. A PDM information system has been developed and rolled out in all the 10,535 parishes across the country. Madam Speaker, next financial year, I have provided shillings 246 billion to continue developing the ICT and digital transformation through the following interventions. 1. Further expansion of internet connectivity and digital infrastructure across the country. 2. Continuing the rollout of digital services across government to improve efficiency of service delivery and transparency and accountability. 3. Leveraging business process outsourcing and ICT to create employment opportunities for our young people. 4. Digital skilling to increase adoption of the digital services. And 5. Cyber security, data protection, and privacy. Energy development. Madam Speaker, the country's power generation capacity has increased by 600 megawatt from 1,376 megawatt to 1,978.1 megawatt, following the connection of Karuma Hydropower Dam to the national grid. The electricity transmission capacity has now increased to 4,218 kilometers of high voltage from 3,500 kilometers in 2020. In the next financial year, I have provided shillings 982.56 billion to undertake the following. 1. Increase access to electricity through grid expansion and connectivity projects. 2. More investment in construction of transmission and distribution networks targeting load centers to promote value addition. 3. Improving the quality of power supply through systematic operation and maintenance of existing power infrastructure. 4. Increasing access to clean energy by supporting clean cooking technologies. 5. Development of 5 microgrid power plants using wind and solar hybrid in Karamoja. And 6. Preparatory activities for the 8,400 megawatt nuclear power plant in Wiyende district. Industrial development and manufacturing. Madam Speaker, in our 10-fold growth strategy, government is going to step up efforts to accelerate diversification of the economy, add value to raw materials to boost exports, and import substitution to continue reducing our export and also build more basic industries to produce items that Ugandans use on a daily basis, such as sugar, soap, cooking oil, clothes, medicines, construction materials, etc. Our industrialization efforts are being undertaken mainly through the private sector, but with the state playing a de-risking role. Government, through the Uganda Development Corporation, is undertaking targeted investments capacity. During the financial year we are ending, the following investments have been undertaken by UDC to increase local manufacturing capacity. 1. The Atiaka Sugar Factory has acquired modern mechanized equipment for the sugarcane fields in Amuru and Lamu district and installed modern irrigation systems. 2. 40 tea factories have been supported to expand and process tea for both domestic market and export. These are Kayonza Growers Tea Factory, Kigezi Highland Tea Factory, Mabale Growers Tea Factory, and Mpanga Growers Tea Factory. Continued support to Mutuma Commercial Agencies Limited in Luuka District to produce intermediary and final products such as surgical cotton, cotton cake, soap stock, and cotton seed oil. 4. Investment in Bukona Agro Processes Limited in Nyoya District to process cassava and cereals into ethanol for cooking. It produces 40,000 liters of ethanol per day. 5. Investment in Budadiri Arabic Coffee Mills Limited in Soronko District to process coffee for export. 6. Additional investment in Soroti Fruit Factory Limited that is processing 6 metric tons of fruit, mangoes, and oranges per hour into fruit concentrates and juice. And 7. UDC has also invested in the East African Medical Vitals Limited, manufacturers of examination and surgical gloves, to increase the company's production capacity to create jobs and also save the country foreign exchange through import substitution. Madam Speaker, government is also continuing to develop industrial parks to provide investors with required infrastructure and utilities. Work is in progress in Namamve Park with 190 companies operating, the Shen Park in Kapeka, 19 companies, Sino-Uganda Industrial Park in Mbale, 18 companies, Luzira Park, 11 companies, Weyogere Park, 8 companies, and MMP in Wikwe, 7 companies. Other operational industrial parks include Jinja, Soroti, Kasese, Mbarara, Tiatanga, Mukono Industrial Park. So far, over shilling 3.5 billion have been invested in these parks in the form of foreign direct investment. Over 266,812 direct and indirect jobs have so far been created. Security, good governance, and rule of law. Madam Speaker, peace and security, as well as the rule of law, are the foundation for all other things we aspire to achieve. It is the bedrock for socio-economic transformation, democracy, and all the human rights and freedoms we all cherish. Accordingly, we have done before, government will continue to prioritize peace, security, and the rule of law. Next financial year, I have provided a total of 9.566 shillings, 9.566 trillion, of which 481.4 billion is for administration of justice to ensure that Uganda remains a peaceful and accountable country with law-abiding citizens. Some of the priorities in these programs include security of person and property. 1. Strengthening the capacity of security agencies to address emerging security threats and ensuring combat readiness of security agencies to protect life and property. 2. Enhancing military capacity through acquisition of various assets and strengthening the surveillance infrastructure. 3. Supporting joint military operations in the region. 4. Building effective crime response system targeting sophisticated crimes such as terrorism, other transnational crimes, arms proliferation, illegal entry into our country, money laundering, cyber crime, espionage, smuggling of contraband, human trafficking, and others. 5. Supporting the civil authorities in combating threats as well as managing the refugees in line with our refugee policy. And 6, improving the welfare of the military, police, prisons, ESO, and ESO personnel through salary enhancement. Justice, law, and order. Strengthening justice, law, and order service delivery systems by A, recruiting 10 more high court judges in commercial and land divisions to enhance adjudication of commercial and land cases to eliminate backlog. B, recruiting 5 more justices of Court of Appeal in line with Judicature Amendment Act 2024. C, more investment in court automation to cover an additional 10 courts to enhance efficiency, reduce human contact, by extension reduce incidents of corruption. D, promotion of alternative dispute resolution mechanism to complement the formal adjudication of cases. E, starting construction of regional courts of appeal in Imbarara and Gulu, high courts in Hoima and Masindi, chief magistrate courts in Amorota, Buro, Rakai, and Katine, and magistrates grade 1 courts in Busembatia, Nyarushanje, Rubuguri, and Adwari. F, promoting the use of scientific evidence in investigation and prosecution of cases, including construction of the National DNA Data Bank at the Government Analytical Laboratories at Wandegeya. G, mass enrollment for and renewal of national IDs and automation of immigration and business registration services. H, reforming laws and the due process to ensure faster and expeditious resolution of disputes, among others. Natural disaster response and management. Madam Speaker, I'm about to close. During financial year 23-24, government supported 93,930 households with relief food and non-food items across the country. Next financial year, I have provided shillings 18.1 billion plus a contingency fund of 146.26 billion to support disaster response and management, including operationalization of the National Disaster Risk Management Plan. 2, support 50,000 households with food and non-food items across the country. 3, provision of funds to Uganda Red Cross Society to support disaster victims. And 4, supporting the resettlement of 1,000 households that were displaced by landslides and floods in the Elgon region, including the districts of Duda, Manafa, Bulambuli, Namisindwa, and Soronko. Government strategy for financial 24-25 and the medium term. Madam Speaker, in line with HE President's guidance, my ministry, in collaboration with the National Planning Authority, has developed a strategy for growing Uganda's economy tenfold. The target is to expand the size of the economy from about $50 billion last year to $500 billion by 2040. Government has identified 4 anchor sectors to drive this growth. These are agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development including oil and gas, and science, technology, and innovation including ICT. Madam Speaker, these are the ATMs that are going to mint money for Uganda's next financial year and in the medium term. The detailed enabling policies, interventions, and actions will be contained in the forthcoming 4th National Development Plan. Madam Speaker, to achieve this ambitious goal in the next 15 years, we must deliberately and pragmatically do the following. 1. Double the size of GDP every 5 years for the remaining 3 national event plans. 2. Raise per capita GDP 6-fold from the current US dollars 1,146 to about US dollars 7,000 in financial year 2039-40. 3. Double the level of savings in the economy from 20% of GDP to 40% of GDP in 2040. 4. Raise the share of exports in GDP from 12% in 2022 to 50%, and the share of manufactured products in merchandise exports from 13% to 50%, and medium high-tech products from 21% to 50% over the same period. 5. Increase the annual FDI inflows from US dollars 2.9 billion in 2022 and to US dollars 50 billion by 2040. 6. Accumulate the stock and the quality of human capital, skilled workers, physical capital, energy, railway, roads, air travel, and internet infrastructure, and natural capital, forests, swamps, rivers, and lakes. Madam Speaker, the success factors of this strategy are: 1. Enhancing the capacity for effective national defense and security to avert any internal or external security risks. 2. Maintaining constitutional order, an effective and efficient judiciary, and a people-centered legislature. 3. Economic stability in line with the commitments contained in the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility. 4. A reformed government-wide coordination of rationalized ministry, departments, agencies, and local governments. 5. Effective and accountable public institutions prepared to fight corruption and impunity. 6. Policy consistency to ensure effective implementation of government programs and interventions. 7. Enforcement of local content in government programs and investments, and support to culture and the creative industry. 8. Digitization and automation, including e-payment, e-commerce, e-government, procurement, e-health, e-education. 9. Support and take advantage of the full implementation of the East African Common Market and economic integration under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, financing and expenditure for the year we are entering, Madam Speaker, the total resource envelope for financial year 24-25 amounts to shillings 72,136,554,466 shillings, of which total revenue is as detailed below. Domestic revenue amounts to 31.982 trillion, of which 29.366 trillion will be tax revenue and shilling 2.616 trillion will be non-tax revenue. 2. Budget support, shillings 1.394 trillion. 3. Domestic borrowing, shillings 8.968 trillion. 4. Treasury bonds for settlement of government outstanding obligation to Bank of Uganda as at 30th June 2024, shillings 7.779 trillion. 5. Domestic refinancing of maturing domestic debt, shillings 12.0022 trillion. 6. Petroleum fund withdraw down, shillings 115.4 billion. 7. Project support external financing, shillings 9.583 trillion. And 8, local government revenue collections, shillings 293.9 billion. Madam Speaker, the total government expenditure for financial 24-25 is projected at shillings 72 trillion 136 billion 504 million 253,466 shillings trillion, of which the total appropriation is shillings 37.56 trillion and statutory expenditure is 34.756 trillion. Wages and salaries are projected to amount 7.926 trillion, non-wage current expenditure to shilling 17.45 trillion. Development expenditure from own resources to shilling 6.152 trillion. External project financing shillings 9.584 trillion. Appropriation in aid to shillings 293.9 billion, while external debt repayment will amount to 3.149 trillion. Madam Speaker, I have attached the details of the resource envelope and expenditure allocation by vote for financial 24-25. Madam Speaker, the year 24-25 budget has been designated to target 7 key priorities. These are: 1, investing in the people of Uganda through education, health, water, sanitation, and hygiene, for which I have provided a total of 10.204 trillion. 2, peace and security of all persons in Uganda. I have allotted a total of 9.107 trillion, including a 25% enhancement of salaries of all security personnel at the rank of captain and below. 3, maintenance of roads, of all roads, construction of three strategic roads, as well as rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway and construction of the standard gauge railway. I have provided 4.989 trillion shillings for these. Investing in wealth creation initiatives, including commercial agriculture, value addition, UDB and UDC, the parish development model, Emyoga, agriculture creative facility, tourism, science-based research and youth skilling, export promotion program, and the GROW project. I have allocated a total of 2.641 trillion Uganda shillings. 5, to facilitate electricity transmission, distribution, and utilization in existing energy stock, I have allocated 982.6 billion. 6, natural disasters contingency funding, to which I have allocated 146.1 billion. 7, our international commitment for regional and global partnership is 31.1 billion. Madam Speaker, the above priorities are in support of the anchor sectors that have been identified to drive rapid expansion of our economy. Approved sources of funding to finance the budget. Madam Speaker, following principles guided the preparation of financial 24-25 budget: strengthening domestic revenue mobilization by providing adequate funding to revenue-generating entities. 2, strengthening public finance management to ensure accountability and frugality and avoiding misuse of public resources. 3, repurposing of the budget towards high-impact economic growth areas. 4, improving efficiency in the execution of projects and other public investments. 5, borrowing for only strategic high-impact interventions. Madam Speaker, starting financial 24-25, accounting officers of revenue-generating entities will sign commitment contracts against the agreed revenue performance targets, upon which budget allocation have been made, in addition to the performance contracts they sign annually. Domestic revenue mobilization, Madam Speaker, to collect the projected revenue for financial year 24-25 of 31.982 trillion, a mix of modest tax policy measures were proposed and approved by Cabinet and Parliament. These will be complemented by enhanced tax administration by Uganda Revenue Authority and rationalization of tax exemption in line with the domestic revenue mobilization strategy. Tax measures for financial year 24-25, Madam Speaker, the following are the modest changes in taxes that were approved by Parliament to raise more revenue and or improve the budget environment. Excise duty. Imposition of excise duty on powdered beer at shillings 1,000 per kilogram. 2. Imposition of excise duty at a rate of 0.5% of value withdrawals of money from other platforms other than mobile money. This does not apply to withdrawals from agent banking or banking halls. 3. Increase excise duty on petrol by 100 per litre. 4. Increase excise duty on diesel by shillings 100 per litre. 5. Increase excise duty on imported wines from 80% or 8,000 shillings per litre to 100% or shillings 110,000, whichever is higher. 6. Imposition of excise duty on adhesives, grout, white cement, and lime. The objective is to align the tax treatment of these products with that of cement. Value-added tax, VAT. Madam Speaker, under VAT, the supply of electric motorcycles, vehicle manufactured and fabricated in Uganda, and their respective charging stations and batteries for electric motorbikes, charging stations and related services are exempt from tax. The objective is to facilitate the growth of e-mobility and affordability of electricity cars and motorcycles and protect the environment. Madam Speaker, starting next financial year, the provision of taxable goods, services by an employer to an employee will attract VAT. Income tax, Madam Speaker, under the Income Tax Act, we provided incentives for the following. 1. We have exempted investors from tax capital gains arising from the sale of holdings in private equity or venture capital funds regulated by the Capital Market Authority. The intention is to incentivize private equity or venture capital investment in Uganda. 2. We have provided tax holidays on the income of a person who manufactures and fabricates electric motor vehicles, electric motorcycles, electric batteries, and electric vehicle charging equipment, as well as income of a person who develops, establishes, or operates a medical facility or hospital facility. 3. We have extended the waiver of penalties and interest on arrears outstanding by June 2023. This waiver will apply when the taxpayer pays between July and December this year. 4. We have also introduced a 10% withholding tax on commission paid to the banking agents and fintech agents, payment service providers. Tax administration measures. Madam Speaker, much of the anticipated additional revenues will be generated from compliance measures undertaken by URA. These include expanding URA presence and coverage by opening up 5 liaison offices. 2. Strengthening the enforcement and the use of electronic fiscal receipt and invoicing system, IFRIS, which was a battle recently, as you heard, and digital tax stamps and the rental tax solution. 3. Strengthening the exchange of information with other tax authorities to combat illicit financial flows and under declaration. 4, strengthening enforcement interventions. Madam Speaker, I call upon all of you colleagues and fellow Ugandans to render URA and other revenue collecting institutions the necessary support to mobilize revenue required to meet the target for financial 24-25. We must raise more revenue and reduce reliance on borrowing and external grants. I will repeat. We must raise more revenue and reduce reliance on borrowing and external grants. Those of us who go to borrow, they take us as if we are children. They look at you, go today, come tomorrow. Go today, No, we should really take a decision so that we can at least get a reasonable percentage. Date, public desk. Madam Speaker, as at the end of December 2023, Uganda's total public debt stood at 93.3 trillion, equivalent to $24.69 billion. Of this amount, external debt was shillings 55.37 trillion, equivalent to $14.64 billion, while domestic debt was 38.01 trillion, equivalent to $10.5 billion. The public debt is projected at shillings 97.638 trillion, equivalent to $25.716 billion by 30th June this year. In nominal terms, Uganda's public debt to GDP was estimated at 46.9% in June 2023 and is projected to end at 47.9% this financial year ending June. This is below the 52.4% threshold provided for in the Charter for Fiscal Responsibility for the financial year 23-24, and less than 50% of GDP government policy target for debt sustainability. Madam Speaker, although our debt has increased, it is still sustainable, and the government is committed to keeping it sustainable. Most importantly, the money we have borrowed has been invested well, and these investments have started to give good results. The borrowed money has been spent as follows. 1, 29% was invested in improving the transport infrastructure, including oil roads, Kampala flying over, and the several tarmac roads linking the whole country, airports, including upgrading Entebbe International Airport, and the building of Kabalega International Airport, rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway, etc. 2, 28% has been invested in the development of energy infrastructure, including Karuma and Isimba dams, power transmission lines, and rural electrification. 3, 12% has been invested in improving water sources for both human consumption and for irrigation and livestock. 4, 5% in agro-industrialization. 5, the development of industrial parks, extension of national backbone infrastructure, which has improved the quality of internet and communication, as well as investment in education and health, among others. Nonetheless, the ratio of total debt service to domestic revenue, excluding maturing domestic debt redemptions, is projected to increase to 40.3% in financial year 24-25 from 23.4% in financial year 2024, above the threshold of 20%. This is the reason government has committed to exercising caution in borrowing to ensure debt sustainability by implementing the following measures. 1, prioritizing concessional borrowing where available, and reducing commercial borrowing at high interest rates. Such a borrowing shall only be for very few strategic and high-impact projects. 2, strengthening capacity for domestic revenue mobilization. 3, controlling government spending to ensure allocative efficiency. 4, boosting exports to increase foreign exchange inflows. 5, ensuring project readiness and the quality of public investment to increase the return on investment. Now I conclude. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, the economy has fully recovered from various shocks that have impacted it in the past 4 years. It is now poised to accelerate towards take-off, powered by value addition to our agricultural raw materials and the abundant natural resources, growth in industry, tourism, and innovations by our scientists. This budget is greatly for Ugandans still stuck in the subsistence economy. Countrymen and women under this category take full advantage of PDM and other wealth creation funds, as well as other support services, to join the money economy in any of the 4 sectors: commercial agriculture, industry, services, or ICT. To the private sector, this budget is anchored on the 10-fold growth strategy. It presents to you a multitude of opportunities. It has invested in a number of interventions to further improve the business environment. The macroeconomy is stable. Infrastructure is improving. Affordable capital has been provided for you to engage in value addition and export. Electricity is now reliable, and the government will work hard to reduce its cost. Regional markets are expanding, and barriers to market access are being removed. Therefore, take full advantage of these opportunities to create wealth and prosperity. Aya, have we agreed with the businessmen? Yes, please. Yes. To the youth, this budget offers opportunities. You, the youth, listen. To acquire more skills, access finance, innovate, and develop new and better products. To those with talents, I assure you that creative industry is going to be supported. This budget is the beginning among many in the medium term intended to open up doors for you to escape unemployment by self-interested individuals and groups. Take full advantage of the opportunities to make money and live a productive and long life. Like some of us. To the women and mothers of the nation, the budget has provided funds to improve your health, to ensure that your children are born in safe hands, are immunized, sleep under mosquito net, drink clean, safe water, and are educated in nearby schools for free. The budget has also allocated billions to support your businesses, however small they are now. To the elderly, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable persons, wherever you are in this country, the budget offers several social safety nets, not only to shield you from poverty, but also to ensure that you can be productive and begin to live a decent life. To the gallant men and women in uniform, at the rank of captain and below, who are serving in the UPDF, in the Uganda Police, in the Uganda prisons, in internal and external intelligence services, this budget contains the first installment of enhancement of your pay. Continue to serve your country and keep it as safe as you have already done. Happy belated Heroes Day. Madam Speaker, as I step off this podium, I would like to call upon all Ugandans to embrace the President's message. Let every adult Ugandan engage in producing a good or a service for sale. That way, we shall be able to create a bigger pie for the greater good of our country. I dedicate this budget to all the wealth creators. Madam Speaker, with that passionate statement, I wish to beg you to move.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, everybody appreciates your budget this year, and that's why you can see nobody has even slept. We want to congratulate you so much, and we want to thank you, Honorable Minister. And by extension, we want to thank the President for the clarity of your delivery of the budget speech for this financial year. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister.
Next. Remarks by His Excellency the President.
Honorable members and distinguished guests, as I said, Honorable Kasaija was performing a delegated role. The Chief Minister of Finance now is going to give us briefs on his budget. I now take this opportunity to invite His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to make his remarks on his budget. Welcome, Your Excellency.
The Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Deputy Speaker and the Deputy Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Chairman of the Vice Chairman of the NRM, all the other leaders, and the Wananchi who are listening. In the State of the Nation address, recently, I reminded you of the 3 historical missions of the African Revolution. I reminded you of the 4 ideological principles of the NRM, and of how the Ugandan economy has not only grown from US dollars 1.5 billion in 1986 to now US dollars 55 billion by the exchange rate method, but also to US dollars 180 billion by the PPP method. I think the economists should get time and explain to you this difference between GDP by the exchange rate method, which is what the Minister was talking about here, and GDP by the PPP method, the purchasing power parity method. The exchange rate method shrinks our economy because we are still importing items from abroad unnecessarily. We are importing unnecessarily. If you look at the size of our GDP by the PPP method, it is now 2 times the size of the South African economy when Mzee Mandela took over the leadership of that country in 1994. Because at that time, the GDP of South Africa was about 80 billion, 89 billion or something. So if you use the PPP method, The GDP of Uganda now is 2 times the size of the South African economy by the time Mandela took over government there. In the next few years, for me, I'm not waiting for the 2040, because they keep talking about the 2040. We shall catapult the economy to the size of the USD 500 billion. Why am I sure of this? It is because much of our economy today is comprised of raw materials that are in value nominally 10% of the value of the final products. By adding value to coffee, maize, forest products, minerals, etc., our economy will grow exponentially. You have seen the exports in this year. They grew by 38%. You saw the figures there which the minister was showing you. Exports, export earnings in 1 year from $4 billion to $7 billion. Rate of growth 38%. Because we are just underutilizing everything. This is the problem. Uganda importing furniture. You can imagine that? Importing furniture from Dubai, from India. Mama Janet here had to fight with those wonderful people in the Ministry of Education who were determined to buy furniture from India. Imagine, furniture in Entebbe also takes money outside. Money is taken to buy dead people's clothes from outside. Mtwijuro, that's what the Banyankole call clothes of dead people. They are called Mtwijuro. So that's what we spend $800 million on imported textiles. The shirt I am putting on is made here, 100% Ugandan. This shirt here. Why should we import textiles? We had some issues with the traders here, the people they call traders. What they call traders are the importers. How about, there was a man called Warusi Mpanga in the 1950s. He was buying cattle from the Ankole area and bringing them to Kampala. He was not an importer. He was an internal distributor. According to the traders in Kampala, that one is not a businessman. The businessman is the one who is Oksaka, who is buying from outside. This slave mentality must go away. I'm not a slave myself. I have never accepted a slave dependency mentality. That's how we were able to lead our revolution. So this importing is what is creating the discrepancy. The economy is bigger, $180 billion, but if you use the exchange rate method, it comes to 55 billion. It shrinks. But if you solve that, the size in figures will be much bigger than it is now. We have the electricity, and we should continue the generation. I want to thank the minister. He showed everything here in detail, and I'm glad you gave him a standing ovation. I think you may go to heaven because of showing gratitude. Entasime Karachi? Entasime Karachi? Kare Biblia. The one who does not thank, nobody will give him again. We have the electricity, and we shall continue expanding the generation and the transmission. The private sector is the main engine of growth and transformation. We already have a well-educated population that is easy to skill and is also innovative. As you saw, the science, the knowledge economy, those are our young people who are doing all those scientific innovations. In order for the economy to grow, the only thing I can add on now, because I don't want to give a long speech, in order for the economy to grow even more, we need to be competitive in the products we produce. And the minister conveyed my message very emphatically, which I will repeat at the end of this short speech. But in order, we need to be competitive in products and services we produce. Our products and services must be cheaper and of better quality than products from other countries. In order to achieve that, we need affordable electricity, which is already being worked on. Because for you to be competitive, you need cheap electricity. And we are working on that, as you saw here. We need low-cost money for the wealth creators, which is already available in the forms of PDM, Emyoga, and UDB loans. I really want to render irrelevant these money lenders and all these people who suck our people. We shall continue putting money in PDM, in Emyoga, in UDB, so that the people who want wealth creation have soft money, money which is not very expensive. Labor, so we have electricity is going to be cheaper. Money for wealth creation will be cheaper. Labor is still not expensive. However, and those are the crucial factors when you are producing a good or a service: the cost of electricity, the cost of the money you borrow, the labor cost, the wages which are being paid, the salaries which are being paid to the workers. However, to further handle to render products and services competitive. Correct this in my speech. This should be uncompetitive. We must reactivate rail and water transport for cargo. This is what is missing now. Electricity is being worked on. Money for borrowing, for production, not for importing. We are not giving you soft money for importing. If you want to import, you go to the money lenders. You go to these other fellows, the commercial banks. But if you are a wealth creator, we have money for you. The cost of is still low. But how about the cost of transport? Transport, not for people who are going to nightclubs. Those can pay whatever cost they are charged. It's up to them. If you don't want to pay, you stay home. So when I say the cost of transport, I'm talking about transport of goods, cargo. That's why the railway is our next big target. Railway for the goods, and especially for the goods, even people, but mainly for cargo. We must reactivate rail and water transport for cargo. We have repaired the old meter gauge from Maraba to Kampala and also from Tororo to Guru Pakwach. We are going to start building the SGR, the standard gauge railway from Maraba to Kampala and Kampala to Mpondwe to Kasese. Later, we are going to expand the SGR, the standard gauge railway to Gulu Nimule. The railway will transform our capacity to create wealth. Because once the railway is fully operational, then transport of goods from here up to Mombasa will be cheaper. From here up to Dar es Salaam, from here up to South Sudan, from here up to Congo, it will be cheaper. It will also save the roads, because this crowding you see on the road, it is when the railway starts taking off the trucks from the road, then the pipeline, because we are also making the pipeline for petroleum, because now the road has got passengers, they are on the road, you have the cargo on the road, you have the petroleum products on the road. That's why the road is under such pressure. The railway and the pipeline for the petroleum will solve that problem. That means only passengers or light trucks will remain on the road. It will cause less pollution and consume less fuel, because on the road you spend a lot of fuel stopping, because of the slow movement. We are moving forward on the issue of introducing electric cars and electric border borders, as you saw here. So, these are the two additional strategic interventions: the railway and the pipeline for the petroleum products. Now, the other strategic intervention we need to stabilize our economy forever is irrigation for agriculture. The minister talked a bit about it here, but we need to do more emphasis. Because you know we are lucky, we have rains, but sometimes the rains is delayed, or sometimes you have less rains. Then you get a crisis, lack of food. So in order to remove that occasional disturbance, we must have supplementary agricultural arrangements. Much of the time we shall have the rains, but if the rains come, there is standby irrigation. With this, plus what I said in the State of the Nation address, and what has been said in the budget, there is nothing that will impede us. Because you remember in the State of the Nation address, I addressed the issue of regional integration, to solve the issue of the market. The NRM is a mission-led organization. We don't come into politics to improve our CVs. Former this, former that, please. We are not here to improve our CVs. No, please. We started fighting from the 1960s because we had historical missions. We had aims. That's why we cannot move. We must achieve these aims, and we have achieved them, as you can see. We have achieved some of them. You heard the minister telling you that that economy he was talking about, which he presented here, was all minus our petroleum, which is about to come online. When that comes online, the story of Uganda will be a totally different one. In a short while to come, our petroleum will start coming from the ground. This will enable the government to earn an extra $2 billion per year, assuming today's prices. Even if the prices remain the way they are now, when our oil starts coming out of the ground, the government, not the whole economy, the government alone, will be having an extra $2 billion per annum. This is apart from other income streams for the country. This does not include the money to private groups and so on, but to the government. This oil money will never be used for consumption. Who is in charge? We shall never use this oil money to import perfumes and whiskey and what have you. Never. It will never happen. And science development. Therefore, strategic items like the railway and the irrigation will be funded by us directly. So this business of borrowing, of this and that, will stop. For the infrastructure, for the railway, the power stations, and the science infrastructure, we shall use this oil money to do that, but not to import those takatakas. No, those ones you can do the way you are doing now. People who do not bother to listen to our message keep talking of poverty, lack of jobs, etc. You had, I'm very happy the minister and his staff, finance, are now finally capturing properly the message of the NRM. The way they present things, the way they talk, sustainable development. What is that? What does it mean? One time I asked, what does a sustainable pregnancy mean? That somebody is pregnant sustainably, never produces a baby. Nature provides that you have quantitative growth and qualitative change. Pregnancy, after 9 months, becomes a baby. Maybe after some time, it changes into something else. That's how life is. You cannot have a static situation indefinitely. So we are very clear that prosperity means an adult person participating in producing a good or a service and selling it. And when we say participation, he may be the owner of the product or he may be an employee, but he will participate in producing a good or a service and selling it. And if you do that with the Chibaro, with the proper mathematics, you will get prosperity. That's what I've been telling you. And we have been telling you, and the minister has now repeated emphatically, I'm very happy with finance now. I have nothing useful to add. And he has told you that the sectors where prosperity is are four: commercial agriculture with the Chibaro, Chura, Aymar, Otita, with the mathematics, commercial agriculture. Secondly, manufacturing and artisanship. Thirdly, services. And fourthly, ICT. So in those areas, that's why you'll get prosperity. You should choose to go to be somewhere as a wealth creator or an employee of the wealth creator. Now, those who bother people who do not bother to listen to our messages keep talking of poverty, lack of jobs, etc. The four sectors of commercial agriculture, artisanship and manufacturing, services and ICT, if utilized in the manner recommended by the NRM ever since 1995, will create so many jobs that we will exceed the job levels of Uganda. Uganda doesn't have enough once we develop our full capacity. Uganda will not have enough workers. And by the way, this one happened during the time of the British, when they introduced a few activities here like coffee and cotton and sugar. That's how Africans from Rwanda, from Burundi, from South Sudan, that's how they came here. That small economy, money economy, or during the British time, created so many jobs that the internal people were not enough. That's why our brothers had to come from Rwanda, from Burundi, from South Sudan, to work here. So even now, if we all become wealth creators in the four sectors, there will be so many jobs. I've given the example of Mr. Nyakana in Fort Portal, using 1 acre to employ 15 people. And we calculated that if 7 million people did that, we would create more jobs than the whole population of Uganda now. But as of now, we already have 922,000 people employed in manufacturing. Show those factories again if you have them. Show them on the screen, the factories. Those are now. These are all new factories. In 1986, we had only 80 factories. When we went to the UMA, Uganda Manufacturers Association, we now have more than 8,000 like those. These are already employing 922,000 people and something. The whole of the public service, army, police, civil service, 480,000. So the factories are now employing 2 times the number of people working in this public service. So those jobs, the jobs are there, but you must be qualified for them by doing the right thing. All those are jobs. New jobs, you can see all of them are brand new factories. They are not all. This is the factories now, giving us 922,000 jobs. The services, the hotels, the tourism, the transport, the banks, they are now employing 5 million people. 5 million. Look at show that factory, that the one of the factory. The one which was there now. Put it back. The one which was showing, those are hotels. Go back to the one you had showed. Was a factory where workers were seated. No, there's another one which was bigger. There was a bigger one. Anyway, they are all the same. You can see how many people. Jobs are there. Look at that group now. Look at that. All those are young people. Jobs. Just talking. They don't listen. And then they have their wonderful papers, like the wonderful, what do you call it, monitor, that monitor group. All of you are watching how. They are like enemies of Africa. The other day, I saw them when they tested Karuma Power, 600 megawatts. I think there was some blackout or something. So they were celebrating in their paper monitor. You see, the network, the transmission network cannot handle the power. And I had had that opinion. It's very interesting to see how the enemies link up, enemies of Africa. So the logic of the monitor is like what I used to hear with the governments, some of the civil servants who are like on the side of monitor also. They were saying, but if we have the power station at Karuma, how shall we evacuate the power? If you can't evacuate it, have the factories near there. They can all be around Karuma, nearby, if you don't have to carry it far away. When Owen Falls Dam was opened by Queen Elizabeth in 1954, the electricity was only in Jinja. That's why the factory is concentrated there. The original factory. We didn't have electricity in Mbarara. We didn't have Kabari. We didn't have. But it was enough that it was in one part of Uganda and all the factories congregated there. That's a step forward. If the electricity is there, if you can't distribute it far away, let the people use it from nearby. That's not a problem. That's a step forward. It's not something to mourn about and demonize. Now, the ones employed in services, the 5 million, 40,000 of them are employed in ICT. Then 66,000 are employed in mining and quarrying. Now, this is just endorsement. It's hard for when somebody gives you something to test. In Ntungamo, at the register, if we found the women selling local beer, you could say, Mbaze Mundoze, give me the Jaribu first, the test, let me test. He tests this one, so it's not good. But by the time he has finished, he's drunk and he says, he says all the beer is bad. So here, what we are showing you, you show the hotels. You are started showing the hotels, the services, in the picture. All those are employing people. And here in my small speech, I also have those pictures there. I have those pictures. Therefore, I want to repeat what the minister said. Uganda, wake up, work. The work, the wealth, the prosperity is in the 4 sectors: commercial agriculture, artisanship and manufacturing, services and ICT. The capital to help you go into any of these sectors is already available in UDB, PDM, Emioga, etc. If the money which is there now is not enough, we can add more. But start. Now, the only remaining problem is corruption. As I said the other day, we are going to stamp out that corruption. It's really amazing how people do not see. NRA is a very, very powerful force. I don't know how anybody thinks he can play around with it. We are very soft. We use soft methods. We never force anybody. We always talk. I am like a pastor, preaching. Repent, you are going to go to heaven. But they don't know. I don't know why they forget that we have got a lot of capacity, a lot of power, which we shall use if necessary. I really can't get it. Because these corrupt people insult our heroes. The other day, we were in Mpenja celebrating Heroes Day. Now those heroes there in Mpenja, we were told there were 250 skulls of dead people. They are there in just that village. Now, in the whole of Uganda, we lost 800,000 people killed. 800,000. In Ruero, we gathered 30,000 skulls. There were 70,000. So, this sacrifice, that's how you are here, you fellows. Excellency President, Excellency Vice President, Right Honorable this, Right Honorable that, His Lordship this, all those powerful people, Honorable, I don't know what, they are all here. On the blood of our people. You heard them when we were in Mpenja, they were still talking about Akasimo, with their small this and that. They sacrificed and we are here. But you come, you get a chance to lead. Instead of helping people, now you start taking away the little which could help them. This is really amazing. Now, in so doing, you delegitimize yourselves, because you see the Ugandans are very dangerous. When they see that you are not honest, they just leave you. But one day, they will get a chance to avenge on you. That's what happened with the groups we had here. When we got independence, all those young people, we are all young people. Mutesa was 39 years old, Obote was 35, Kakonge was 26 years old. They were all young people. Ibinjira, Nechon, they were 28, they were all young people. Uganda was in their hands. Just free gift. But see what happened. Amin was 39, he was a young man. I was like their smaller brother was 18. That's very well. But you could see how those young people messed themselves up. And how they ended up. They lost legitimacy. So when we came on the scene, we had studied all this. And we could not afford this. Now, at that time, what we dealt with was the misbehavior of the army. Because that was one of the biggest problems at that time. The army, Nanta Gambako, they have their word, this one each of ours, Nanta Gambako. I don't know how you translate that. How do you translate it in English? The untouchable. The army was untouchable. But the Fronasa said no. For us, we can build a disciplined army. And we started, and the army was disciplined. Then in Semuto, 1982, two of our drunk boys went to the village and killed 3 villagers near Semuto. One of the boys was called Zabron. So they killed people in Semuto. Oh, that was really the boundary. Whether NRA was survive or be written off by the people. So we arrested these people, these boys, Zabron. He was actually a good boy, but he was fond of drinking. I didn't know him well, but I had not heard anything specifically bad about him. So we tried them. And the case came to the High Command. The other day, the Right Honorable Speaker was calling me former Speaker, which of course I was for 10 years. But I was also a Chief Justice some time ago. So, in the High Command, we had somebody who had studied law at Makerere, a man called Jim Muhezi. Then he told us in the meeting that, you see, what killed the people in Semuto, Murule, the place is called Murule. What killed the people in Murule was not Zabroni. It was the beer inside Zabroni. So what do we do now? How do we separate the beer from Zabroni? Because Zabroni was a Chidomora carrying beer which made him kill people. So what do? We had to shoot those children, those young people. Shoot them in public. This is how the NRA was built. Because when we did that, the Baganda said, Bano Barnamazima. And that was the end of all this group. UFM of Kaira, because they were talking Buganda, they were in those things. The Wananchi could not listen because they had seen Amazima. Intibano Barnamazima. These are the people of the truth. So therefore, I want you people, especially with the Africans. I'm very glad CJ is now talking of the alternative justice, which is really the indigenous justice. Because this is justice of the Whigs and all that, when you sit there, some of it is, for instance, with the African people, the problem of murder. You kill my brother, I must revenge. I'm duty bound to revenge or quarrel. Because if I don't, the spirits will kill me of my brother. My brother's spirit, for whom I did not revenge, will go against me. So the only way you can escape revenge is Okaraba. You go back and, for the Africans, we have got restorative justice. It can be punitive, retributive, but it is also provided for restorative. To say, okay, please, don't revenge me. Let's sit down. One of our people killed your brother. Let us solve this. Like, for instance, I still have a debt with the clan of the late Colonel Tengola Machodwogo. You remember he was killed by our soldier. I must make peace with the clan on behalf of the army. I must make peace with the clan. Otherwise, they will just keep quiet. You are powerful, you are president, excellency, what? Yes. But they will never forget. They will never forget. So, when I went there, I said we are going to do, the Wanyankore call it Okaraba. So, murder, rape, that is an unforgivable sin. It must be sorted out. It must be fully accountable. Other things like fighting in the bar, what, they mix up things. There are things which are very serious. Murder, rape, corruption now. Corruption is very, 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 very dangerous. And don't involve me in your struggles with the commissioners and so on. Those are another matter. But corruption. So these three, murder, rape, must be fully accounted for, and promptly. So therefore, you should be very careful with some of these concepts. Some of them foreign, but some of them distorted. Like bail. You emphasize bail. Bail. Why do you emphasize bail? Why don't you emphasize trial so that we get the truth? That's what you should emphasize. Because when you talk of bail, you are playing in the hands of the enemy. The Bajankwere will say, when the Bajankwere said that, we are finished. He spent one night and came back. There was nothing, in other words. So he would not see your justice. You were talking justice that freedom in the constitution, what. That's not, that's a foreign concept. It's not our concept. Our concept is a dog that steals pays with its back. So you must handle it quickly and decisively. Those concepts are very dangerous because they separate us from the people. There is another one. There is another one which says, I can come to court and keep quiet. Really? I keep quiet. He is a thief, he has nothing to say. So I don't know how those people evolve those concepts. But please, here we should deal with our situation like we dealt with the issue of Zabloni. That's how the NRA was saved. Otherwise, we would have been finished. In Uganda, people would have lost confidence in us, and it would have been very difficult to recover. Because there we had a chance to show who we were, and we did it. And that's how the NRM was built up. So the NRM of today, please. First of all, I'm surprised that really people can dare what I hear, this one. But who do these people think they are? We are going to smash them. We have the capacity. Now that they have attracted our, because me, I never concentrate on those things myself. But now that they don't listen, we advise, you have now attracted our attention, our full attention, you will see. We shall crush this treachery. This is really a betrayal, and we are going to finish it. Now, the borrowing. I'm glad the minister explained these newspapers with their radios, they create panic among you people. Debt. We actually had a very low debt level until Corona. Our debt GDP ratio before Corona was 30%. Very low. But some people pushed, and we found we had reached 40%. But I don't believe in borrowing. My view is that I don't believe in this borrowing. I believe in cutting our cloth according to our coat according to our cloth. And that's what we should be doing. Now finally, the talk of external shocks. External shocks. Which one is now? That there was a war in Ukraine, and that you are importing wheat from Ukraine and Russia, and now you are going to die. Hey, but why don't you eat muhogo? You remember I said to you, why don't you eat muhogo? Why do you eat wheat in the first place? Me, I don't eat wheat. I don't eat rice. I have my foods. For the last 80 years, I have my foods. The only time I ate rice was when I was in Tanzania, fighting Amin. So the external shocks, which one is now? Now the only one we have is petroleum. That one we are still importing from outside. Very soon we shall have our own petroleum. So therefore, let's concentrate on our strength and stop all this diversion. With these few words, I congratulate the Minister of Finance. He has done it now very well. I have nothing useful to add. And I thank the Speaker for presiding over the meeting and all of you for coming. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, I want to thank you so much for fulfilling your constitutional obligation of delivering a successful budget speech. As legislature, we reiterate our commitment to apply its mandate in realization of a progressive intention for the country and its citizens. And we still pledge that whenever we are needed, we'll be available to do whatever we are required to do. You have our unwavering support as legislature. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. I want to thank you, Your Excellency, and Mama, and all the that have been able to make to here. We want to thank you for honoring our invitation. We also want to request you, as we finish this special day of the President delivering the budget speech, national budget speech, we want to invite all our guests to Serena for an evening. You're most welcome, all of you. Honorable members, the House will reconvene tomorrow, Friday 14th, 2024, to designate members of the Central Committee in furtherance of Rule 187 and 180 of the Rules of Procedure. The House will reconvene at 2 p.m. in Parliament. I now adjourn the House tomorrow 14th at 2 p.m.
The anthems
request that you remain in your positions. Please remain in your positions as we go through the formalities to bid His Excellency farewell after he has successfully completed his constitutional mandate to deliver the budget speech. We're going to have only one photograph this evening. We're only having one photograph that will comprise the presiding officer and the Minister of Finance joining His Excellency the President and the First Lady. So we shall only have this one photograph, and then the Speaker shall see of our main guest today, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda. Even as we complete that photograph, distinguished guests, I ask that you remain in your positions because departure shall be in reverse order. Departure shall be in reverse order. So we kindly ask that you remain in your places and we shall follow the protocol. Follow the order of precedence as we see of all our guests this evening. So immediately after His Excellency leaves the grounds, we shall also be able to see the Vice President, Excellency retired Major Jessica Aliko, and all other dignitaries in descending order.